The chance came in the 87th minute, and for 3 seconds, the entire stadium held its breath. By the time Harry Kane's shot sailed over the crossbar, 60,000 Tottenham fans groaned in unison. By the time Arsenal scored their winner in the 93rd minute, the season was effectively over. By Sunday morning, James Maddison had posted a cryptic message on Instagram that everyone understood. By Monday's training, the captain and the playmaker were on opposite sides of every drill. But it started with 19 words shouted in the dressing room corridor, words that exposed everything wrong with Tottenham. I'm the captain, I'm the striker, I decide when to shoot. You're just the new guy who needs to learn his place. Don't forget to subscribe to Elite Ball Legends and like the video for your support. Thank you for subscribing. Harry Kane had been at Tottenham Hotspur for 20 years, first as a boy in the academy, then as the striker who became a legend. At 30, he carried the weight of being the greatest player in the club's modern history, the all-time leading scorer, the captain, the face of Spurs. But he also carried the weight of never winning anything. 0 trophies in 20 years. The best striker of his generation who couldn't lift silverware. And now, with Bayern München circling, everyone wondered if this was his final season in North London, his last chance to finally win something in a Tottenham shirt. James Maddison had been at Tottenham for 4 months, and in that time, he had injected creativity the club hadn't possessed in years. At 27, the English playmaker arrived from Leicester with a reputation for brilliance mixed with inconsistency, for spectacular passes mixed with defensive laziness. He was the signing meant to elevate Spurs from nearly there to genuine contenders. £40 million, high wages, high expectations, and a personality that didn't defer to anyone, not even the captain. The North London derby in late September had started with electricity. Tottenham Hotspur Stadium was a cauldron. 62,000 fans packed in, every seat filled, the atmosphere hostile and passionate. Arsenal arrived as league leaders, Spurs sat third, and everyone understood what this match meant. Bragging rights, momentum, belief, Ange Postecoglou's attacking style against Arteta's tactical discipline, Kane's legacy against Arsenal's young guns. The first half had been chaotic and brilliant. Arsenal pressed high, Spurs countered with pace. Maddison pulled the strings from the number 10 position, finding pockets of space, delivering passes that Kane converted into chances. The connection between them looked promising, the creative midfielder and the clinical striker, the partnership that could define Tottenham's season. Arsenal scored first through Saka in the 23rd minute, a typical Arsenal goal, patient build-up, quick combination, clinical finish. The away section erupted, the home. Crowd fell silent. Kane had immediately demanded the ball, demanding a response. Maddison delivered it in the 39th minute, a perfect through ball that split Arsenal's defense, arriving at Kane's feet just as he made his run. 1 touch, 1 finish, 1-1. The stadium exploded. Tottenham took the lead in the 58th minute, Son Heung-min finishing a flowing move that started with Maddison's vision. 2-1. The crowd was delirious. This was it. The derby win, the statement, the proof that Spurs could beat the best. Kane was playing well. Maddison was orchestrating brilliantly. Everything was working. Arsenal equalized in the 74th minute through Martinelli. 2-2. The momentum shifted. Arsenal sensed Spurs' defense was vulnerable. The crowd's nervousness returned, that familiar feeling of impending collapse, the Tottenham way of finding new methods to lose. The 87th minute brought the moment that defined everything. Tottenham won the ball back in midfield, Bissouma intercepting a loose pass. He found Maddison immediately. The playmaker was in his element, space ahead, options everywhere. Arsenal's defense scrambling back. He drove forward, dragging 2 midfielders with him. Kane made the run. Classic number 9 movement, peeling off the center back, exploiting the channel between Arsenal's defense and midfield, the run he'd made 10,000 times in his career. But this time, the angle was tight. Gabriel was recovering. Raya was positioned well. It wasn't the best chance. Maddison kept driving. He reached the edge of the penalty area, and suddenly the picture changed. A passing lane opened to his left. Son Heung-min in acres of space, Arsenal's defense having committed everyone to stopping the central threat. And then, even better, Kulusevski making a diagonal run on the right, completely unmarked, 15 yards from goal with only the goalkeeper to beat. But Kane was screaming for it. "Harry! Harry! Now!" His voice carried over the crowd noise, demanding, commanding. He had made his run, and in his mind, that meant the ball was his. Never mind that he was at a tight angle. Never mind that Kulusevski was in a better position. Never mind that Maddison could see the whole picture. The captain wanted the ball. Maddison hesitated. For 1 second, maybe less, his head swiveled between the options. Pass left to Son, pass right to Kulusevski, or feed Kane, who was demanding it, whose run deserved reward, who was the captain and the goal scorer, and the legend. "Matters! Here! Pass it!" Kane's voice again, louder, angrier, leaving no room for debate. Maddison passed it. A good pass, weighted well, arriving at Kane's feet. But the angle was still wrong. Gabriel had recovered. Raya had positioned himself perfectly. Kane took one touch to control, another to set up the shot. Gabriel closed him down. Kane had a split second to decide, shoot from the difficult angle, or pass back to Maddison, who had continued his run and was now in space at the top of the box. Kane shot. The ball left his foot with power, rising toward the far corner. For a moment, it looked good. Then it kept rising. Over the bar, into the stands, not even close, the kind of miss that professionals don't make when there are better options available. The stadium groaned. 62,000 people exhaling disappointment. Maddison stood at the edge of the box, arms raised in the universal gesture of, "I was open." His face showed everything: frustration, disbelief, the expression of a creative player who had made the right run only to watch the wrong decision happen. Kane didn't look at him, didn't acknowledge the miss, just turned and jogged back, his face showing nothing, the mask of the captain who couldn't afford to show weakness. Arsenal collected the ball, threw it back into play, and suddenly the momentum shifted. They sensed Tottenham's deflation. They pushed forward with renewed energy. The crowd noise changed from support to anxiety. Everyone could feel what was coming. The 93rd minute arrived like destiny. Arsenal won a corner, their 10th of the match. Tottenham had defended 9 successfully, but the 10th was always the dangerous one. Tired legs, tired minds, the desperation of holding on, meeting the desperation of scoring. Saka delivered it perfectly. Saliba rose highest. His header was powerful and accurate, heading toward the far corner. Vicario dived but couldn't reach. The ball hit the net. 3-2. The away section erupted in joy. The home crowd fell silent in devastation. The final whistle blew seconds later. Arsenal had won the North London derby at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. The psychological blow was massive, not just the defeat, but how it happened, leading twice, conceding late, missing crucial chances, the Tottenham way. Kane walked off the pitch without acknowledging anyone. His face showed nothing, but everyone who knew him understood. He was furious, at himself, at the team, at the result. The captain carrying the weight of another defeat, another trophy-less season, another reminder that time was running out. Maddison walked off separately, surrounded by teammates trying to console him. He had played brilliantly, created both Tottenham goals, orchestrated the attack, done everything right except for one moment when he had passed to Kane instead of trusting his own judgment. That moment had cost them. The dressing room was silent, no music, no conversation. Just 22 men sitting in their own private devastation. Some stared at the floor, others checked their phones mechanically. Kitmen collected dirty uniforms quietly. The coaching staff gave players space to process. Postecoglou entered after completing his media obligations. His post-match press conference had been diplomatic. "We created chances, we need to be more clinical, we'll learn from this." But his face showed more, the frustration of a manager who had seen his team dominate possession and lose anyway. "Lads," he started, his Australian accent making even disappointment sound matter-of-fact. "That hurts. It should hurt. We were the better team for 70 minutes, but football doesn't care about minutes. It cares about goals. They scored 3, we scored 2. The rest is just pain." He paused, looking around the room. His eyes landed briefly on Kane, then on Maddison, sensing something in the air. "We win together. We lose together. No individual blame. We move forward." Wednesday training, 10 a.m. Be ready. He left. The silence returned, and that's when it started to unravel. Maddison had been sitting in his corner, still in full kit, his mind replaying the 87th minute over and over. He had seen Kulusevski. He had seen the better option. But Kane had demanded the ball, and Maddison, the new signing, the expensive import, the outsider trying to fit in, had deferred to the captain. And it had cost them. "Fuck," he said quietly to no one in particular. "What?" Kane's voice from across the room, sharp, defensive. "Nothing, just frustrated." "We're all frustrated. That's what happens when you lose derbies." Something in Kane's tone, dismissive, patronizing, triggered Maddison. The playmaker stood up, turning to face the striker. "I was open, at the top of the box. After I passed to you, I was wide open." The room went quiet, everyone suddenly aware that this was about to escalate. "You think I didn't see you?" Kane's voice had an edge now. "I think you saw me and shot anyway. I was one-on-one with the keeper. That's my job. I shoot." "It wasn't one-on-one. Gabriel was on you, Raya had the angle covered, and I was open in a better position." Kane stood now, and suddenly the physical difference was apparent. Kane taller, heavier, the alpha male of the dressing room standing his ground. "Are you seriously questioning my decision?" "I'm questioning why you shot from a bad angle when there were better options. I'm the striker. I scored over 300 goals for this club. I think I know when to shoot." "Yeah, well, you missed tonight, when we needed you most." The room was electric now, other players watching, some starting to move between them, sensing this could get physical. Romero stood up, ready to intervene. Son was already moving toward Kane. "I've scored against every team in this league," Kane said, his voice low and dangerous. "I've carried this club for a decade. Who the fuck are you to question me? You've been here 4 months. Long enough to see that we keep losing because the same players keep making the same mistakes. Careful, mate. Or what? You'll miss another shot?" Maddison knew it was too far, but the frustration poured out anyway. "You're so desperate to be the hero. You can't see when someone else is in a better position. That's not leadership. That's ego." Kane exploded. "I'm the captain. I'm the striker. I decide when to shoot. You're just the new guy who needs to learn his place." The words hung in the air. Not shouted, that would have been better. Spoken with cold authority, the tone of someone putting another in their place. The tone that revealed everything. Kane saw Maddison as beneath him, as junior, as someone who needed to defer, to know his place in the hierarchy. Maddison's face showed the impact. Not anger now, but something colder. "My place? I'm the best creative midfielder this club has had in 20 years. My passes created both our goals tonight, but sure, I need to learn my place. You need to learn how a team works. I'm the captain. When I call for the ball, you give it. When I'm making a run, you trust me. That's how it's been at this club for 10 years. "Yeah? And how many trophies have you won in those 10 years? The dressing room went completely silent. That was the line you didn't cross. Kane's trophy-less career was the elephant in every room, the tragedy of a world-class striker playing for a club that couldn't win. Everyone knew it. No one said it. Until now. Kane's face went pale, then red. For a moment, he looked like he might physically attack Maddison. Son grabbed his arm. Romero moved between them. "All right, enough," Romero said, his voice carrying authority. "We just lost a derby. Everyone's emotional. We don't need this." But the damage was done. Kane had walked out without another word, storming into the showers. Maddison had sat back down, his hands shaking slightly, the adrenaline of confrontation mixing with the devastation of the result. By Sunday morning, the social media posts began. Kane's Instagram showed a photo of him training alone. Caption, "Back to work, only forward, Yasis Kois." No mention of the match, no mention of the team, just individual determination. Maddison's was more pointed, a photo from the match, him celebrating after creating the first goal. Caption, "Created 2, scored 0. Team game always. Yaskois." The subtext was clear to anyone paying attention. The media caught it immediately. By Sunday afternoon, articles were everywhere. Kane-Maddison rift, Tottenham stars, social media tension after derby loss. Sources, dressing room, argument after Arsenal defeat. Postecoglou faces crisis, captain and star midfielder not speaking. Monday's training session was professional but cold. Kane arrived early, did his preparation in silence, focused on drills. Maddison arrived on time, did his work professionally, but avoided eye contact with the striker. During tactical exercises that required them to work together, they communicated only when absolutely necessary. Other players noticed. Some gravitated toward Kane, the club legend, the long-serving captain, their top scorer. Others toward Maddison, the exciting new signing, the creative spark, the future. The dressing room was dividing along lines that hadn't existed a week ago. Postecoglou had watched it all, his expression unreadable. After training, he called them both into his office. "Sit," he said simply. They sat on opposite ends of his desk. The manager looked between them, his Australian directness cutting through any pretense. "I don't care what was said Saturday night. I don't care who was right or wrong about one decision in one match. What I care about is that my captain and my playmaker aren't working together, and that costs us." Silence. "Harry, you're the greatest striker this club has ever had. Your goals, your leadership, your commitment, irreplaceable. But you don't get to demand the ball just because you're captain. Football is about making the best decision, not the hierarchical one." Kane's jaw was tight, but he nodded. "James, you're exceptionally talented. Your vision creates goals no one else sees. But you're new here. This club has culture, has history, has ways of operating. You can challenge those things, but not through social media posts and dressing room arguments." Maddison looked at the floor. "I'm not asking you to be friends. I'm not even asking you to like each other. I'm asking you to be professionals, to put the team before your egos, because if you don't, we lose. And I don't accept losing when it's preventable." He stood. "Training tomorrow, 10 a.m., you two will work together on set pieces. You'll figure out your connection. Or you'll both sit on the bench Thursday. Your choice." They left separately. No conversation, no resolution, just the weight of an ultimatum. Tuesday's training was better. Not good, but functional. Maddison practiced delivering crosses to Kane's runs. Kane practiced receiving Maddison's passes in tight spaces. The chemistry wasn't there. That required trust. But the mechanics worked. Postecoglou watched from the sideline, arms crossed, face neutral. Thursday brought a Europa League match against Rennes, mid-table French opposition. A match Spurs should win comfortably. Postecoglou started both Kane and Maddison, a statement that they needed to work through this together. The match was strange. Tottenham dominated possession but struggled to create clear chances. Maddison had the ball often, but hesitated before passing to Kane. Kane made runs but didn't demand the ball the way he usually did. The connection that had looked promising in August now felt forced and mechanical. Spurs won 2-0, both goals from corners, neither involving Kane or Maddison directly. Professional, but uninspiring. The kind of performance that satisfied the result, but not the eye. In the dressing room afterward, Kane had approached Maddison. Not apologetic, but pragmatic. "We need to make this work." "Yeah. I was frustrated Saturday, said things I shouldn't have." "Same. But I wasn't wrong about everything. When I call for the ball, I need you to trust me. And when I see a better option, you need to trust me." They had stared at each other, two alpha males trying to find middle ground without conceding too much. "We'll figure it out," Kane said finally. "We better, because I didn't come here to finish fourth and lose derbies. Neither did I." A pause. "But I've been doing it for 10 years, so maybe we both need to change how we operate." It wasn't reconciliation. It was acknowledgement. The start of something that might eventually become respect. The following weeks brought slow improvement. They worked together more fluidly in training. Postecoglou designed drills specifically for them. Maddison receiving deep and finding Kane's runs, Kane holding up play, and laying off to Maddison's arriving runs. The connection wasn't natural yet, but it was developing. October brought mixed results. A win against Luton, a draw with Sheffield United, a loss to Chelsea. Tottenham was inconsistent, talented but unable to find the consistency that separated good teams from great ones. Kane scored regularly, but looked increasingly frustrated. Maddison created chances, but his defensive work was questioned. The partnership produced moments of brilliance, but not sustained excellence. The breakthrough came in early November, away at Crystal Palace. A difficult match. Palace defending deep, Spurs struggling to break them down. 0-0 in the 73rd minute, frustration building. Then came the moment. Maddison received the ball 30 yards from goal, 3 defenders in front of him. No obvious pass. But he had been watching Kane all match, learning his patterns, understanding his timing, and he saw it. Kane checking away from the defender, creating a tiny pocket of space, the run that would come next. Maddison played the pass before Kane even turned, a pass based on prediction, on trust, on understanding built through weeks of uncomfortable practice. The ball arrived at Kane's feet perfectly. The striker controlled with one touch, defender behind him, goalkeeper coming out. The angle was tight again, defenders closing, but this time, instead of forcing the shot, Kane saw Maddison arriving. The playmaker had continued his run after passing, gambling that Kane would find him. Kane laid it off. Simple. Perfect. And Maddison finished. 2-0. The kind of goal that required both of them, that couldn't happen without trust. They celebrated together, not the wild emotion of August, but genuine acknowledgement, a fist bump, a brief embrace, professional respect. After the match, Kane had found Maddison in the dressing room. That pass, how did you know I'd turn that way? I've been watching. You always check away first, then spin. Once I saw the pattern, I trusted it. And the layoff, I saw you coming, trusted you'd finish. Kane had nodded. We can do more of that, if we both trust. Yeah, we can. It wasn't the partnership that would define football history. It wasn't Bergkamp and Henry, Gerrard and Torres, Shearer and Sheringham. But it was functional, it was growing, and for Tottenham, that might be enough. The season continued, wins and losses, goals and frustration. Kane scored regularly, Maddison created constantly, but Tottenham remained Tottenham. Talented, entertaining, inconsistent, trophyless. By May, they'd finish 5th. Europa League qualification, no silverware. Another year of nearly there. Kane would leave that summer for Bayern München, finally chasing trophies abroad. Maddison would stay, becoming the creative heartbeat of a younger squad. They'd exchange messages occasionally, professional respect, acknowledgement of what they'd tried to build. Years later, when asked about their relationship, Kane would say, "Talented player, took time to figure each other out. Football's like that sometimes." Maddison would be more direct. "Best striker I've played with. Difficult personality. But when you're that good, you've earned the right to demand excellence. Just wish we'd had more time." The truth was more complex. 2 players, different generations, different mindsets, forced together by circumstance. One defending a legacy, one building a new one. One fighting against time, one fighting for recognition. Both talented enough to make it work, both stubborn enough to make it difficult. In the end, the 87th minute miss against Arsenal became symbolic. The moment when individual desire overrode collective wisdom. The moment when ego cost the team. The moment that showed even the best players need to trust those around them. Football, after all, was never just about shooting. It was about knowing when to pass,